Okay, so the first up is approve the meeting minutes of November 6th, 13, and November 20th. We'll move those.
Second.
Ray, they're saying I can't hear.
I can hear you guys here. on Zoom.
Yes, here. Oh, minute, yes, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mhm. All right, and then the next thing up, I'm gonna just switch the presentation and versus the public hearing quickly because the presentation is only gonna take a couple of minutes. And then we'll open the public hearing on the data center law proposal and then so anyway, I guess the climate action committee wanted to do. Yeah, so if you just come up over there where the mic is and.
All right, good evening. Thank you for taking the time to do the public hearing and for allowing the Climate Action Committee to share comment as well. Before I start, we have a few of the Climate Action Committee members here. Can you all raise your hands just so we can see? Awesome. Thank you. So the following statement was a consensus of the full Climate Action Committee.
Can you hang on a second?
Introduce yourself. Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I jumped right into it. My name is Jack Wright. I'm the chair of the Climate Action Committee. It's an important part of the process. Thank you. Indeed. So this statement was a consensus for the full Climate Action Committee, with the exception of our town staff and board liaison. Dear town board members, the Town of Dryden's Climate Action Committee strongly urges the town board to implement language fully prohibiting the development of data centers and cryptocurrency operations in the town of Dryden. The only benefits that the CAC can identify from hosting high-performance computing data centers and/or crypto mining operations include some tax revenue for the town and potentially a few new long-term jobs. The CAC understands the drawbacks of hosting high-performance computing data centers and/or crypto mining operations to far exceed any potential benefits to the town. These facilities draw an exorbitant electricity demand and are difficult to monitor. The high electrical draws associated with data centers can have several impacts on residents of Dryden. When data centers require the build-out of electrical infrastructure, these costs are absorbed by ratepayers, not by the owners of the data centers nor by the utility. In the midst of another proposed rate increase from NYSEG, the CAC recommends that the town board promote energy affordability for Dryden residents by prohibiting the presence of data centers. From a climate perspective, the high electrical demands from data centers increase the difficulty for New York State to achieve the goals of its own legally binding climate law, known as the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. The New York Independent System Operator, which oversees New York's electrical grid and wholesale electricity market, has identified data centers as one of the drivers of increased energy demand and predicts a 16% increase in electricity demand over the next decade. This higher electrical demand is increasing New York State's use of fossil fuels, making our air and water dirtier while also creating excessive greenhouse gases. By prohibiting data centers, the town of Dryden expands on CAC's work to help meet the state's climate goals and promote an affordable, clean future for Dryden residents. In addition to taking a close look at electrical demands, the CAC encourages the town board to consider the difficulty and resource drain that monitoring any data centers would incur. Please consider if the town has the needed staff bandwidth, resources, and expertise to adequately monitor and regulate data centers and cryptocurrency operations. With the above considerations in mind, the Climate Action Committee strongly urges the town board to implement language fully prohibiting the development of data centers and cryptocurrency operations in the town of Dryden. If the town board decides, contrary to the Climate Action Committee's recommendation, to proceed with the planning board's recommendation of limiting data centers to a 5,000 square foot footprint and a maximum energy draw of 1 megawatt, then the CAC urges the town board to include the following provisions. strengthen the planning board's recommendation by removing, quote, without a variance, unquote, from the following provision. In the LIO and LIOA districts, data centers shall not exceed 5,000 square feet and shall not utilize more than 1 megawatt without a variance. Require an electrical demand from data centers or cryptocurrency mines. Require any electrical demand from data centers or cryptocurrency mines to be sourced from an equal or greater amount of renewable energy generation so as not to strain electricity supply further. Mandate facility decommissioning in the same way that solar projects are required. Prohibit the use of fossil fuel run generators for backup of data centers or cryptocurrency mines, since these fossil fuel run generators create significant air and noise pollution. Require the applicant to pay for an independent expert of the town's choosing to monitor the operations approved by the town, and report if the expert finds a violation of any applicable law, regulations, and or permit conditions, or if the operation changes hands. Require this independent expert to submit an annual report to the town board on data center or cryptocurrency compliance for the life of the operation, and to establish a process for the revocation of permits if the owner and or operator of the data center or cryptocurrency operation is non-compliant with town code or SUP conditions. In summary, in view of the problems of both the costs of data centers and the challenges in monitoring data centers, the Climate Action Committee urges the town of Dryden to prohibit data centers of all sizes. If prohibition is viewed as impossible, we urge that the law include our recommended provisions. Thank you all for your time and your consideration.
So we're gonna open the public hearing then on the local law amending, the proposed local law amending town code regulate data centers and cryptocurrency facilities. So if there was a sign up sheet for speakers, and then if there's anybody who's on Zoom who intends to comment, if you could just let me know by raising like your hand or something, so I know to call on you. That would be helpful. Or or just say in the chat that you want to comment. So I guess first person would be Robert O'Malley. And
Does that come forward?
yeah, you can come up there, because that way folks who are on the Zoom can hear you.
Good evening, fellow citizens, landowners, homeowners, and interested parties. And thank you, town board, for letting me have an opportunity to speak to this issue. I'm not going to take much of your time because I know everybody's time is valuable. And I'm here to speak against the implementation or construction and operation of data centers. It is inevitable. I know one thing, and that is Murray's laws in effect, which says that compute power is going to, well, has doubled every year for 10 years or something like that. Maybe somebody can quote really what Murray's law is, but it fundamentally says that it's going to be much more efficient, much cheaper, and take up less room and be quieter. In the future, an increase in compute power, which will be coming as a natural progression of competition in the compute world. However, biggest concerns with seems to be floating on the radar. I've read the comments on the town board website regarding what we're talking about tonight, the implementation of data centers. And nobody seems to be worried about the thing that I think is most important. And that's why I felt so compelled to come tonight. It's the noise. Data center noise issues stem from loud cooling systems, HVAC fans, backup generators, creating disruptive low-frequency hums, and a drone-like sound that harms workers, nearby communities, sleep loss, health problems, while also impacting wildlife. These persistent noises often exceed safe levels. They go up to 80 to 96 decibels. They require advanced noise mitigation strategies. As standard measurements miss the pervasive low frequency component, leading to community complaints, regulatory challenges, and operational inefficiencies. The cooling systems, the massive HVAC units and chiller fans run constantly to prevent overheating, generating significant broadband noise and low-frequency hums. Hundreds of servers in close quarters with their internal fans create loud, echoing noise up to 90 dBA. Backup generators, especially during testing, produce intense noise, 100 decibels, and low frequency engine noise. The low frequency hum, the combination of these systems creates a pervasive low frequency humming drone that travels far and is heard between blocks and miles. So this can travel as much as 2 miles away from what I can research. It's like living next to a great big truck stop where all of the tractor trailers are running 24/7. These data centers, they run all night. They don't take holidays off, and they hum and make noise on weekends and holidays. So the relative cloud computing and AI drives more data centers, often in previously quiet areas. The area on Hanshaw Road is next to a bird sanctuary. Standard metrics often filter out the low frequencies that bother people most, making the problem seem less severe than it actually is. So some of the solutions and mitigations are optimizing the layout and using specialized soundproofing materials, implementing quieter fans and better silencers, using analysis to pinpoint and address specific problematic low-frequency tones, and developing noise regulations and barriers, though low frequencies pose unique challenges. In other words, this is hard to regulate, this is hard to monitor, and this is hard to control. Passive HVAC units and chiller fans run constantly to prevent the overheating. Hundreds of servers in close quarters with their internal fans create loud, echoing sounds. So I don't want to take any more time. This is aside from the issue of sucking up enormous amounts of power, this issue is of great concern. Now, I can really make some tax revenue from a data center, but what about that property values up to one data center that are plummet? Tax revenue from those homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll just say generally, just hope we try to keep it around like 3 minutes, because there's right now we have at least 11 people who wanted to, or 12, it looks like, to see, so that's, but Hillary, you're up next.
Yeah, we don't want to cut anybody off, but I think, given the number of people here, does 3 minutes sound good?
Yeah.
3 to 4 minutes? We want to hear what you have to say, but there are fortunately a lot of you here.
Hi, my name is Hillary Randall. I'm president of this group and other bodies have comments on this previously, so I'll be quick. I want to thank the planning board and Dan here for drafting this good law. And I think if things, society were different, it might be it might work. I'm just very, very concerned looking at what's going on with data centers and crypto citing nationwide, that all these good attempts to control and regulate might not in the end work out. And
Yeah.
there you go. Anyway, I'm afraid that the law might be sufficient. So I am asking that you please consider prohibiting these proposed land uses in our glorious town of Dryden. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Murray?
Okay. Just speaking for myself and for the committee. Personally, I cannot find any compelling reason to participate in data centers, which if we then doing and we see benefit residents. I see only deficits. Someone said to me today that bravery is mostly refusal to take what's coming in you and accept it. I'm going to ask everybody here today to show Dryden's as we did with the anti-fracking, and let us not allow this scourge of data centers into town at all. Please put them in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Solano?
Good evening. Tony Salerno, Hanford Drive. I'm also the chair of the town planning board, but I am not speaking for the planning board tonight. I wanted to offer some insights into how I approach this issue and what my thoughts are, but I'm not speaking for the planning board as a whole. While we were going through this process, like you, we've heard a lot of information come in from a number of different people. A lot of that information has been requesting an all-out ban of data centers, and as you've also heard, comparison with Dryden being a leader in the fracking ban. All the concerns about very large data centers are legitimate. They do have issues around them, especially when it comes to power draw and noise and impacts to the community, negative impacts to the community and the environment. And we should take those things into consideration. And I can tell you that I listened to every one of those comments that came into the planning board, that came up in our zoning advisory group meetings in working through this. Ultimately, the fracking comparison isn't really a good one because data centers come in a wide range of sizes, capabilities, and power draw. And so, what we're talking about here primarily are the largest data centers, those that are being built by the large tech companies for AI and crypto mining. These are very large buildings, some of them over 1 million square feet, draw huge amounts of power, and can even use huge amounts of water for cooling and various other things, have huge cooling loads. And that's really where most of the opposition to data centers seems to come from. The fact that they operate 24 hours a day has been brought up. That's true. They're operating, many times they're operating 24/7. However, modern data centers can and do regulate their power draw and their cooling loads as requested. So, for example, if there's a power shortage in an area, the utility will often request these large data centers power down some so that they're not drawing as much. And they can also do that to reduce their cooling load. It should be pointed out that the proposed local law that the planning board came up with is very restrictive. We're talking about very small data centers here, under 5,000 square feet, under a megawatt of power draw. There's also limitations in here on noise and ultimately what that means is that these large data centers that people are most concerned about really wouldn't be allowed anywhere in Dryden. They couldn't be built. I tend to agree with a comment that was made earlier about removing the without variance in that one section where it talks about the power draw restriction, that it can't go over 1 megawatt without a variance. I think it's a good idea to take that out. The law also puts us into the special use permit process, which allows the town to further scrutinize and negotiate a given project. So, you can put things in there and ask for things like, that they provide a clean power source or that they do other things to mitigate the impacts that they have. The biggest thing, though, is I spent some time in these light industrial zones while we were working through this, and I just went over and sat in. People must have thought I was weird. I was kind of sitting in my car in the middle of these areas, and especially the one near NYSEG. What it comes down to is data centers of the size we allow would actually draw less power and have less issues with them than some of the things that already exist in these light industrial zones. And I'm thinking about places like Knickerbocker. If you sit outside the Knickerbocker building, that building produces a lot of noise. And it also has a large cooling. It has a huge power draw. And so really what it came down to was not being able to justify banning something which we either already have or allow in those zones. And so that's really why we came to or why I came to the position that this law was a better idea than doing an outright ban. So that's just to give you some insights as to what we were thinking about. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, did you wanna, Craig?
I'll wait till the end if I got something to add.
Okay, Brad, Will?
Good evening, Brad Will. I do serve on the planning board, but I'm here speaking as a citizen, resident of Dryden and a taxpayer on more than one property. So it was, I think we're all aware of the many issues and challenges, noise, air, water quality, aquifers, utility rates, the use of the uses that are proposed for the light industrial area and also the mixed commercial area, which I don't recall seeing reviewing it for the planning board. It was just the light industrial. So I just wanted to make a few comments on the final draft, which I'm a little surprised to see it called a final draft because I think it's not very well written, frankly. I think it needs, it's just not ready for prime time. So I'm wondering why we're even talking about a final draft at this point. I think a lot of the language in here is not adequate. And I just want to go through a few things that I observed on a relatively short review. I'd like to, read it some more. I think I and everybody in this room, or most people, could take a scalpel to it, and if we spent some time on it and find a lot of inconsistencies and inadequacies. So the first thing that really jumped out at me was in your section 2. I'm just going to read this so we can understand or try to understand what this means. In the LIO and MC districts, any use that includes a structure larger than 20,000 square feet requires a special use permit. In the LIO and LIOA districts, data centers shall not exceed 5,000 square feet and shall not utilize more than 1 megawatt without a variance. So the introduction, or the figure of 20,000 square feet, it's not clear to me whether that is a primary or accessory use. To me, it feels like it's just getting a big foot in the door and inviting corporations to come in and propose much larger facilities. So I think there's a danger in attracting something that is outstripping the 5,000 square foot proposed size. And I know we have a 500 square foot for an accessory size, which may be, okay as an accessory use for established businesses that have, humans inside the buildings and not just filled, side to side, front to back, up and down with, racks of supercomputers that are churning away and producing a lot of noise, drawing down on water, cooling demands on an aquifer or system that is already potentially compromised or limited. So these are the problem with this local law, in my mind, several problems, is that it's written as if these are buildings that will be used by humans, and they're not. They don't have 24/7 everyday use of these buildings is primarily filled with equipment and computers. So other language in the local law, which talks about the market, here I'll just read a narrative description of the nature of the on-site activities and operations. And this is part of the site plan review and special use permit review, including the market area served by the facility. The market area served by the facility is the whole world. You could be accessing and utilizing those computers from anywhere in the world. It's meaningless market area. The next one is hours of operation of the facility. Again, this is language you use for human use of commercial use doesn't apply here. The total number of employees on each shift, there are no shifts here. It's a machine essentially we're talking about. You might have a couple of employees working on it, maintaining it, that are there once in a while sporadically. So this is all old speak, zoning law. It doesn't apply here. This is a whole animal, a whole new type of building and use. And I don't think we've really wrapped our heads around it. It's all very new to all of us. It's a big deal, and it's really coming to every county in every state of the nation. And so I'm concerned not just for Dryden, but for Tompkins County. So that's just a few comments on the local law, which I think needs a lot of work. And I'll be straight out and say I'm not in favor of data centers of any size in Dryden. And I'll just end with a few observations, kind of looking forward. And I know it's really not what we're thinking about here, but I'd like to just for a moment take the view from 30,000 feet and look 5, 10, 20 years down the road. When one gentleman talked about Moore's Law, every year and a half, doubling capacity and speed. Well, that's true. And what happens if, let's just say a 5,000 square foot data center is constructed here. And within a few years, it becomes obsolete. What happens? What's the plan? What's our reaction to that? How is that regulated? Is the company going to come in and replace all the computers with new ones and then repeat in the next time? Or will they just walk away from it? Will they maintain a lease? And we have these dead malls, of course, and big boxes that walk away from your buildings, and they sit there. They just become a blight. They're not used for anything. They're useless. They're windowless boxes. So I'm concerned about that. What happens in that case? Will the landscape be dotted with empty buildings that are obsolete and can't be repurposed because of the way they're designed? So that's the 30,000 feet. I'm just wondering, how does this look in 5, 10, or 20 years? So I'm, picturing these massive data centers or the small ones, as Tony noted, we're trying to, lessen this to a bite-sized, digestible facility. But, someone I was just speaking with this evening mentioned NYSEG. What's happening in Lansing? That's a power plant that's been decommissioned. What happens when NYSEG moves out of their space? That's going to be ripe for a corporation to come in and say, we want to put a data center in there. And, I think the regulations just won't be strong enough to dissuade them. The fact that it's right there with substations, and, it would just be too tempting to not dive in. So I think not allowing it is perhaps, something that we should seriously consider. So, there could be a bubble. We've been reading about that. There could be a tax impact with pilots that are just going to hurt the rest of us taxpayers and be a burden on us. So I just think it's premature, and I think we have so much to learn. We just don't know enough, and getting into it right now, and drafting a local law that is just kind of a Band-Aid on something that's much bigger than we really understand now. We don't have the tools yet, and the language in here, it's as if it's written for zoning from the 1960s or 70s. It's not addressing the issue. And you just read this carefully, and you can see that it's inadequate. It's not ready. It's not ready for prime time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I live on Edna Road since 1974. I'm confused about why there's hesitation at all about banning or severely limiting data centers. I don't understand the hesitation. We all know the dangers. They're all over the globe. They're all over the nation. A few people could make a lot of money and walk away, and we could pay the price. If we'd been this cautious with fracking, we would have fracking in Dryden right now. We can't afford to be this cautious. We have to be more bold. Are we worried about being sued? We were sued with fracking. We found the resources, we got help, we made it through. We banned it first in the nation. That was bold. That's the attitude we need right now. It's like, we know this is wrong. We know it's a burden on people. We just need to say no. If we jobs in Dryden, I think there are better rules of making more jobs in Dryden than the data center. It's not going to provide jobs. It's not the answer. We can stimulate job growth in much more productive ways that are going to help our people. And we absolutely have the power to limit things that will harm people. We can harm things, we can limit things that we know are harmful. We have the power as a town to do that. And this could be harmful. And as Brad said, information to think more carefully about what the harms could be, what could be coming. And we need to make sure that any regulations that we put out address all the harms that are potential. So I'm urging you to ban, if not ban, limit. If limit, not just limit, because then we'll have 1 megawatt and 1 megawatt and 1 megawatt and 1 megawatt and 1 megawatt. Have a total maximum for the town. Figure out a number for what the town, if you're going to, what's the total that we could possibly deal with? And that the town is not responsible for the cleanup when we leave, because there will be a bubble and they will walk away and we'll be left with whatever they decide to leave behind. So just be bold. We need to be bold. It's calling us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Charles Geisler.
Chuck Geisler, 517 Solid Creek Road. Thanks for the opportunity to share information and impressions. I am on the housing committee in the town, but I'm speaking from myself tonight. If I can boil down the law that we're looking at tonight, I would do it as follows. Basically allowing the centers, but making the eye of the approval so small that a data center, even one data center fit through it. That sounds like a reasonable strategy. And frankly, I think the planning committee and the zoning advisory committee have worked really hard to come to terms with this. However, personally, I'm really worried for 2 reasons. The first reason is that I don't think that the eye of the needle is small enough. In particular, setback between residential property and these data centers, wherever they're put in those 2 zones where we're going to locate them. Feet. That's the way that we'll see has been found acceptable in other jurisdictions across the country. Food standards, considering that we hold the data center proponents to a of expectations And that's a good thing. But these are encouraged, not required. So this is like a river system. We have site plan and special use permit requirements that include potential and positive, and negative impacts forward. That's also good. I would see that. But the list is very short. It's emergency services, sewage disposal, and solid waste disposal. That's a very short list. And then going to a point that has been made by others before me, decommissioning. That's mentioned in similar. And say the planning board or the town, which is in it require. It doesn't say that it has to require decommissioning. And they would believe they have one property, one property. Cycle, there's a lot of that going on. But it concerns me. And as Brad said, there's a lot of homework that could still be done to make this law much tighter, to make the eye of the needles smaller. Surely, everything I've said to this point is secondary to my real concern, which has to do with affordable housing. Bear with me. Seeming very fundamental here. The proposed law for us offers as a statement of purpose something that says we are regulating to make sure that the location, design, scale, and operations are compatible with the town's comprehensive plan. Major emphasis in the comprehensive plan is placed on affordable housing. It's mentioned 16 times in the document. That's a small change. The emphasis of the plan is, as I'm saying, placed on affordable housing. The plan tells us on page 44 that Biden has challenges with poverty and affordability that suggest an urgent need for proactive housing policies, unquote. Then it goes on over saying, urging us to concentrate affordable housing in all development areas. Development is the process, according to the comprehensive plan, of concentrating future growth and drive within an established or emergent consumer, i.e. knows it is a viable tool for combating most of the concern of the 2005 plan continues to be to combat spread to put housing and conservation land. We try to concentrate it. Those, going on with the quote, have a variety of developments, including mixed housing types, retail establishments, restaurants, educational services, health services, and municipal offices. That's on page 75. Here's my point. The two light industry zones the proposed law specifies for these data centers are two emergent development. I've just been talking about which the comprehensive plan talks. Well, intentionally putting potentially hazardous use. I mean, so it's not potential, it's real, it's been documented. We're putting those in the midst of the place that's recommended for affordable housing in town. It's a plan. A simple that small size check these homes from home anymore than insurance policy and insurance policy full of fine print will necessarily satisfy claims we make in the wake of an incident. Think about that. We'll come back to the comprehensive plan one more time. it devotes an entire page, page 76 in this very excellent document, which, by the way, was the result of a survey of over 700 people, 3 large communities, and countless meetings in this room with the town board and the planning board. This was really a seriously vetted document, committed to affordable housing in the 16 was considered. The strategy's expectation, the county has a housing strategy, and we devoted an entire page in this comprehensive plan to what the county there's same 2 areas, 50 to 100 affordable housing units. Of putting data centers in exactly the same areas where we're hoping to put in the future affordable housing. And it's going to currently in the housing committee. These housing clusters with only feet of buffering. We have quite a religious collision. So the conclusion, I'm worried that we have this listeners, no matter how small they are, 2 locations are mortgaged for a different and very important use of housing. Recall the comprehensive plan is the solution of what the town have contributed and thought in the guidance of excellent consultants. So I leave you with this question: are we going to house people or are we going to house data? Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, I'll try to be quick. My name is Rebecca Fry, and I'm a farmer and basic customer. I'd like to thank you for taking public comments on the extremely important issue of data centers. I'm here to show my support for the forward-thinking people who recognize data centers as an issue to be addressed before an infrastructure company or technology company came to town. We have all seen the headlines and horror stories of townspeople divided and companies predatory. Thank you for doing work before this happened to Dryden. While other zoning code enforcement officers work under extreme public scrutiny, industry pressure after a deal has been done, you're trying to get ahead of it. The proposed law under Chapter 270 of the Town Code to regulate data centers defines phrases necessary, including data center, cryptocurrency data mining, and unlisted entities. One definition that is not present in the proposed law is artificial intelligence or artificial intelligence data center. I believe this additional definition is extremely important to spell out, as there is a distinct difference between a traditional data center and an AI data center. These differences are as follows. AI data centers process much greater quantities of data and GPUs and TPUs as opposed to CPUs. GPUs require significantly more energy, generate significant heat, and require significant CPUs. AI data centers require high-speed networking to handle massive amounts of data, which makes them more expensive. This makes the risk greater for the company, but also for the community. Because of all this high-powered computing, AI data centers create e-waste. As many probably know, e-waste contains harmful materials like lead, cadmium, and mercury. Please consider adding the definition of AI data center to Chapter 270 for the specific purpose of protecting the community. I would like to echo statements to the town board, the Dryden Climate Action Committee. So as spoken earlier, the letter accurately describes the gargantuan electricity needs of a data center, which require upgrades to electrical infrastructure. These upgrades are often paid for by us, the subscribers, not the utility, and certainly not the company that owns the data center. As a business owner, I feel the financial strain created by NYSEG's recent rate hikes. In agriculture, the margins are often very low. Even the slightest change in utilities or overhead cost can make or break a farmer financially. Only data centers that show up in SEG's jurisdiction is going to affect power costs and your power costs. No matter what, whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else, the combination can be absolutely devastating, especially to lower income communities. I support the Climate Actions Committee's recommendation to prohibit the development of data centers. I support the provisions they lay out, should you approve the law. We must keep in our minds that promises made by big companies are often hollow, that the environmental impacts of these centers are widespread, and that tax revenue actually materialize. Please remember that this tech bubble could very well burst, leading the potential for empty data centers to become Superfund sites. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's right, I sold sustainability.
Hello there.
Hello.
I'm Hannah Emmelhines.
And I'm Tyler Jones.
We're representatives of the Dryden High School Sustainability Club. We are part of the Climate Action Committee, but we're not speaking on behalf of them. We wrote a letter, kind of not to.
Could you get a little closer to the microphone? Some folks can't hear you in back. See that the mic right there? Just put that in front of you. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sure.
This letter is less to propose a specific action, but more just to highlight points that have already been made that we feel are pretty important for the future of the town. As I said before, we're part of the Dryden Sustainability Club for middle school and high school. And it's come to our attention that this policy could allow data centers in Dryden. We, as the youth of the town, would like to take a moment of your time to kind of share our outlook on data centers. We've done some research, and these data centers seem to have a lot of negative effects that could severely be detrimental toward the Dryden community.
My name is Tyler Jones. One of the primary concerns we have surrounding data centers is the increased water consumption and its effect on the town. Data centers typically use fresh water to cool their facilities. 80% of the water used evaporates and is no longer viable drinking water. While we are fortunate here in Dryden to have stable access to fresh water, we are not sure that even Dryden could keep up with the demands of data centers. Large data centers can demand up to 5 million gallons of water per day, which is equivalent to the water consumption of a town of 10 to 50,000 people. According to the Dryden 2020 census, Dryden has a town of roughly 14,000 people. Would you be comfortable allowing data centers to double our water consumption? Where would the water come from? A water shortage would be difficult to overcome. How would we be able to use the bathroom, clean our laundry, or even get a drink of water?
Another concern is, where's the proposed land allotted for these centers? Dryden has seen an influx of small businesses that have attracted many people and created a small downtown area. As Anne said before, she was wondering about where the jobs would come from if this was going to be an opportunity for people. We think that more small businesses, leaving the opportunity for them would be a better use for jobs if we need more for people. And the new businesses make Dryden, the data centers make Dryden a less inviting town and could be harmful to the local economy. Regardless of whether the centers are put near the center of the town, they'll still be an unattractive industrial site.
Noise pollution is another concern of these data centers and their potential effect on the biodiversity. These loud machines could affect animals' communication, reproduction, mating, sleep patterns, and migratory habits, and be a disturbance to the people who live near the data centers.
There are also concerns with the electronic waste due to the lifespan of certain elements used in the data centers. Many components only last a few years, and it's difficult to dispose safely of the used parts. Another problem is the emissions made from backup generators and any other way the data centers receive their typical electricity. These emissions made by generators or powerful stations contribute to worsening climate change issues. Data centers already account for 1% of global emissions due to their massive energy consumption, and we do not want to contribute to those emissions here in Dryden.
We bring this data to your attention to show concern about data centers from a different perspective. The Dryden Sustainability Club is supported by middle school and high school students who believe in making Dryden a more sustainable place. The data centers being discussed would put aspects of our community in danger by taking up zoning areas for beneficial businesses and changing an ecosystem that is already thriving. As future voters who are already concerned with climate change impacts in the town, data centers are a dreaded addition to the list of pollutants and contributing factors. We believe that the minor profitable benefits for the town would not outweigh the long-term effects of the water supply, the town ecosystem, and the uncertainties in controlling data centers and their strain on resources. We urge you to consider the consequences the future generations will have to live with as a result of the decisions you make today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, and then we had Judy Burton.
She's on.
Yeah, she's on Zoom. So just have to.
Who did you say?
Yep, no, you're up.
Oh, it's me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you fine too, by the
Okay,
way.
good. Thanks for having this hearing. I am impressed with the comments and excited to hear everybody. So I just want to support the statement of the CAC. I think it was a brilliant resolution, a brilliant letter, and also think that if you should pass the zoning rule from the planning board that requiring any data center to spend, to provide the money for an expert mentor, monitor would be absolutely necessary, because I think that there's no way we can, that our town has the expertise to monitor data centers. I support that letter. It's really well done. Thank you so much. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Joe Wilson. Yep. I'm Joe Wilson. I live at 75 Huntville Road. I am a former member of the planning board and was part of the planning board and its committee that orchestrated the development of the comprehensive plan update called Dryden 2045. I'm a current member of the Climate Action Committee, speaking for myself. I attended a number of the planning board meetings, zoning advisory committee meetings, and zoning advisory group meetings that led to the development of the law that you're considering. I read the proposed law, and I exercised my diminishing skills as a recovering lawyer when I read it. I subscribe to many of the critical comments that Brad will
gave and I subscribe to the comments about the use of the land for affordable housing that Chuck Geisler mentioned to you. I want to call your attention to your commitment writ large, that of the town board, as it was written in the Dryden 2045 plan. Our vision: the town of Dryden is committed to sustainable and inclusive development that preserves open space, protects its rural character, and supports its agricultural heritage, while improving the quality of life for current and future residents. There is nothing that I need to discern about data centers, crypto mining operations. They are consistent with a vision that says it will improve the quality of life for Dryden residents, both current and future. The industry, the operations are greedy. They're greedy for land, for natural resources, for power, and for money. The money drives very aggressive efforts by applicants such as the one you've already witnessed, who came before you and apparently put on a show of personal pressure and demeaning behavior that seems to characterize those driven by the need for more money and more resources. Not me. The mention of small data centers, I think, is probably not something that you can work on, given the need to scale up the data centers. If one reads about what is going on around the country and then watches Lansing, you can see that the industry needs more resources, more money, more land, more power. And it's not something that's going to be reduced by the efficiency of machines. All of the folks who are advocating for centers are saying we must scale up. The need for what AI does means scaling up, not scaling back. The notion that a cleverly drafted regulation will avoid litigation, I also think is an illusion. Again, look at Lansing. They brought in a large, aggressive law firm, and they are litigating the regulations that are in place. They're litigating whether or not the regulations even apply to them. So I don't think for a moment that what you've already seen before your very eyes by the person who's already suing the town, and what you see next door in Lansing, is anything but an exact replica of what you witness if you allow them to put their nose under the tent. For those reasons, I urge you to use the definitions you've crafted, expand them along the lines that the young woman mentioned for AI centers, and prohibit that use within the town. One more thought. Given the litigious nature of the industry, I also suggest, in addition to requiring an applicant to pay for an independent monitor of the operations, that you also require that they pay for an attorney to monitor the arguments that they will put forth to open the door beyond what you are proposing through the proposed law. Thanks.
Thank you. Craig? Did you?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wanted to comment? Who's here or on Zoom? I see there's a couple of other people. Okay, I'm gonna, we did have some comments that came in by email. They're part of the record already. You know.
Yep.
Yep.
Would you like a physical copy of my?
Yes. Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
How can I get that to?
It's a Bambi. I'll just.
Yes.
One of them. The other. And they were both, against permitting. There we go. So, I guess with that, I'm gonna close the public hearing. And any discussion? Board?
Yeah,
Feel none.
I want to thank everyone and on behalf of the whole board. I think we really enjoyed hearing all your remarks. Very, very thoughtful, well researched, well argued, well articulated, and a good cross section of the town. And young folks to more experienced folks. So we really appreciate that. Just want to put a little context in. We're one of I think 3 towns in the state of New York that have a moratorium in place right now. You can't build a data center or a crypto mine in the town of Dryden because we have a moratorium that is expiring in February. So we've used that time to do this research and to gather input and to get our planning board to do some work for us, which we are very, very grateful for. I want to just, remind folks that, we in August of 2024, we were approached by an interest in crypto mining here, and they were trying to use our zoning board of appeals for variance to create their industry. And we decided to take action and put this moratorium in place, but that wasn't enough. We had to do something during that moratorium period. So we charged the planning board to research this issue and develop the law that is on the agenda here tonight. And we're really grateful to the planning board for all the research that was done. Many of the members spoke here tonight. And, we charged them with, asking this basic question: is crypto mining and data processing consistent with the town's comprehensive plan? Should commercial crypto mining and data processing facilities be included in the town zoning law? If so, what regulations? They did what we asked them to do so we could come back to you and anyone interested in this topic with a rational, well-researched piece of legislation. I think it's notable that this was early on. We've learned a lot about data centers in the last year. We've all been doing our research and further realizing, our concerns about this issue. For me, and for many of us, the whole issue was initially energy. Where's this power going to come from? I'm still asking that question. Even the U.S. Department of Energy predicts that data center energy needs are going to double by 2028. That's 3 years away. And data centers worldwide and AI is now being turbocharged in terms of the amount of energy they use. It's 2% worldwide. It's about 4% in the US, and that's predicted to double again in the next 3 years, and then double after that, and go through that whole process. So I think we have big questions to ask about where this energy comes from. There are a whole host of other reasons to be concerned about this, which were well articulated here tonight. But I think one of our concerns is if we want to build out more housing and do other things in this town, where's the power going to come from? And how's that power going to be generated? So the planning board prepared this legislation that, again, we're very, very grateful of. But they passed it 4-3. If they'd come out, unanimously for this law, I think that might have sent a signal to the town board that there's more support for this, that we need to really take a look at this. But I think that caused us a little concern that the planning board itself was a little split on this issue. And we depend on our citizen advisory boards for information and the Climate Action Council as well, which we're very grateful on that information. So these sorts of things have informed us. We are being sued. It's not a question if we're going to be sued. We are being sued. We're in federal court right now on this issue. And so we have had a lot of conversations with our town attorney, who has advised us throughout this process on what's best. And I think we've been doing our diligence. We've been doing what's best. We're showing that we're going to think about this issue thoughtfully. We're not going to rush into this issue. As much as many of you knew a year ago that it should be banned, we couldn't do it that way. We had to do a deliberate process and gather input and appear that we, and do the work, basically, which is what we've tried to do. So again, I just thank you for doing all your work and in spreading information. I think what we do here is being watched. Hopefully will be written about. The fact that we went through a process here, we gathered information, and we're going to move forward based on that information. Which I think is about all I want to say at this point. Any other board members want to weigh in?
No, I think is video.
Well, I'm chatty, so I'll say something. That's okay.
Yeah.
Through this whole process, and I'm the newest person on the board, so if you don't know that, there you go. And it's been a huge honor to me to be representing people in this town. I'll cry. I don't cry.
Get in front of you.
In front of the mic. Okay. So and there's two things in addition to everything everybody said and the research we've done and everything Dan said, and listening to the planning board who's done this Herculean effort, quite frankly, of work and research voluntarily to boot. That we have a responsibility as citizens, not just to the town, but to our state and county. So the thing I've been thinking about all along is, is the responsibility that we have to not just do the whole "it's not my backyard" thing and really try to find a law that sets an example for others out there, especially since the work is already being put in. And those of you who've talked to me, I know you've heard me say that because I mean it. But I also want to say that I'm here to represent you, and I take very seriously all the notes and everything that all of you said tonight. And I just, so I want to thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And I've heard everything you said. I really appreciate your input.
Christina,
So for like the past year, everybody's been asking like which direction I was looking at, and I was just kind of waiting to see first what the zoning advisory group came up with, and the fact that it was split 4-3, kind of made it a difficult decision. But I don't want that group to feel that, if we don't side with that we don't appreciate their input, because I know there is a lot of work. We tasked you with a lot. We really appreciate all the information. The other group that kind of comes to mind is the Climate Action Committee. I think we're one of the few towns that actually has a very robust Climate Action Committee. They've won hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant money. We received silver certification, so that's important to keep in mind too. So thanks everybody for all your hard work.
I don't see how we can do this.
well, I mean, I think my feeling on it has been, appreciate all the research that's been done. I think we all hear about this stuff in the news all the time. My concern is that by cracking the door, it offers opportunities to break down the door. We have I think the business practices of this industry are deplorable. The fact that, even if we're talking about smaller ones, lawyers, we can be a real pain and cause some problems for communities. And it's a lot clearer to just, in my mind, just for right now, put brakes on this. And if later on the industry decides to change its ways and their business practices have less impact on the people who are around them when they construct their server farms, essentially. Maybe it can be revisited by a town board in the future. But even the areas where this could go under the law that was drafted by the planning board and the zoning advisory group. It would draw from in one area, it would potentially draw lots of water from Bolton Point. So that is Cuda Lake water. Where would they end up if they're going to use that in cooling? Is it going to end up in the stream that's nearby? What kind of effect will that have on that stream? And I think that when you look at for the community benefit, it's quite unlike the solar farms, for instance, which the community can actually buy into them and save some money. This has the potential for the exact opposite, which will increase everybody's costs for the purpose of subsidizing somebody else's business. Essentially, it's without any larger benefit, and of course it goes against the whole climate action policy we've been following for the past 10 years. I mean, it just flies in the face of that, because like someone said, there could be one company does 1 megawatt, another does another, and on, or they attempt to segment. So I think what I'd rather see is that we have our council prepare a simple, clean change of definitions that make it clear, because right now it's not as clear as it probably should be, that this type of business right now is not going to be permitted. And like I said, that can always be changed, but once you allow something, they're there. So it's kind of like probably a bad analogy, but the whole you're either pregnant or a little bit, you can't be a little bit. So the thing is right now that you can say you can put the brakes on it now, and like I said, a few years from now that can be changed. But if we were to open the door now, I think it's a good idea for the town, and I'd see very little benefit to the town by doing that. There's even if they're smaller, I believe there was we don't have any zoning authority over the two villages, but I believe in one of them there was someone doing a crypto thing in their home, and they had a fire.
Right.
So and that's in a small facility. I can't imagine what it would be like in a bigger one. So and the folks who want to do this, unfortunately, there's towns around that don't have any interest in this and kind of protecting their communities from this sort of industry. So there's plenty of places for these businesses to go that aren't Dryden. And like I said, one day maybe things will change, but right now I don't think it's a great idea.
So I wasn't going to say anything, but I think that really struck was, to me anyway, is that this type of businesses are completely opposite of our intention, our own comprehensive plan. It has nothing to offer in terms of ecological sort of well-being for our town, for our environment, and so I don't see any way that we can support this type of business in our town. So I've been very adamant, because on top of that, they don't create jobs. We are not sure about the impact on our taxes. And we are probably very sure about the impact in our, in our own spending, for the power that is being used or unused in our town by these type of businesses. So on top of that, it's part of a financial bubble in this country that, the demise of that bubble is going to cost us anything. To us again, it's going to cost us just a bubble. Okay?
Yeah.
And so I see no way for us to be supporting a business that doesn't do anything for us, anything good for us.
Yeah, so we're not moving this legislation, just so you're clear what's going on here. There's legislation, I don't hear anyone saying they want to move it, so it's not going to be moved, and therefore it will not be seconded and will not be voted on. But Jason just mentioned the desire to make a motion to direct our council to prepare a law to prohibit data centers in the town of Dryden. That's what we are interested in doing. And I second that motion. And
Prohibit or does not allow?
Not allowed. No,
Same.
they won't.
maybe not allow is our preferred language, but
Yeah, I mean,
we'll let the lawyers work it out.
yeah, I mean, one of the ways to do that is we definitely need to tighten up the definition section of our to address the reason why somebody believed that it could happen here anyway.
Right, so zoning has to be updated.
Right, we need to address this before the moratorium's up, or make a short extension of the moratorium if it turns out that that's not.
Do that or?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of time because it's not, we have some, amended definitions already, and we just need to, I think, adding the part about AI specifically is important because they're different than, than Dropbox, for instance. It's just, I think it's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about things that process data that's been scooped up by like all the flock cameras downtown. That's what most of these AI data centers are all about. It's surveillance of what they are. Not just for talking about like there's a reason why you see certain ads on your phone or whatever, because they see where you drove. It's a web of some interesting stuff. So so move that that we direct our town attorney to draft the local law amending or zoning to I guess tighten up at least the definitions, or if they have another suggestion to make it clear that the use is prohibited, and so there's no further confusion by potential applicants. And then, like I said, if things change in a couple of years, another board can deal with it. But I don't think it's. I don't think we're ready to open that door right now.
So we'll be the first town in New York to do this.
Yes.
It's all jump together.
Just let us know what you need from us. We will be there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So we have to have a vote on that.
Someone second it.
Dan seconded it, and then.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Okay. So we'll move to the next part of the agenda.
We've got a lot more fun stuff. You don't have to. Want to hear about salt, about.
You can see the fun part.
You're all welcome to stay.
Stay fine.
The other side is thinking of time though. Great, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, see you guys. It's all just a good one.
Have a good night, drive safe. Okay. Oh, maybe that's it.
I know. Yes, don't even think about it. I'm gonna go sit in the jury.
Ricky, I'm up next, right?
Yeah, I'm just throwing the agenda so that people know where we're at.
What's that? Time ago when
We tried, didn't we? We were trying though.
It's time to sell a truck.
All right, I will make this quick. There's a resolution to sell truck 15, I believe it is.
Yeah, I got it.
You didn't got any truck left. Selling a truck every week.
Well, get rid of the junk if we can.
Let me pull it up.
What's that? Is it 11? All right, 11. One of them's next week or next month, one of them's this month, soon as I get it back. So you only combine and do 11 and 15 at the same time. What's that? 14 cat, and I've also got a 500 Watson started here, so if you want to do them both tonight, we'll do them both tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so you're amending this then for,
That's please.
so it's number 15, you said?
That 15 and truck 11.
So,
I'll bring them both up for you.
yeah, because we need the VIN number. Yeah. So, all right, so we'll move this, but with the amendment to add truck number 15 as well, and you'll supply the.
That's why make it available.
Do you set a floor, like a purchase minimum when you put one of these in an auction?
No, I usually see how much it takes. If I don't like it, I tell them no.
Oh.
Try it down.
No.
So I've moved that.
Second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We've been plowing a lot too, right?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of plowing. Hopefully, sounds like you'll be back out there tomorrow afternoon. Couple things that are coming down the line. I met with Town of Ithaca, Dondi, Bolton, and
Nancy, can
you have
so we just we're picking it up over here. So.
the Town of Ithaca put a PRV up on Fleece Road years ago. Not a lot of years ago, but probably 5-6 years ago. The Town of Ithaca has been doing the maintenance on it, but the Town of Ithaca wants to turn that over to the Town of Dayton, along with the Apple Orchard PRV, which we're running on to this year, next year, wherever it lands. And plus the Apple Orchard PRV station is owned by Ithaca. He signed the agreement back in 19 or 20. And they thought they recommended changing it because we're going to own all the lines anyways. So we do the maintenance anyways per our agreement, but the Town of Ithaca still owns it. So they talked to their people and people talk to people, and somehow we're coming up with an agreement that the actual ownership of the PRV at the Apple Orchard is going to belong to the Town of Dayton. We will maintain it along with Bolton Point.
But we will obviously will have to insure it. And the only thing that they're going to be putting in the agreement that we're sending you guys is that they want to, Town of Ithaca wants to retain their allocation of their customer water on our lines. So that's the only, I believe that's the only recommendation in there. And then when we take over the Freeze Road PRV, that we cannot use their water. Unless obviously for emergencies, that's the backup for fire suppression and stuff like that, but that we cannot utilize the Sapsucker Ridge Road tank capacity for any future development in the town of Dryden. Right now, we use it for very little. That's an agreement. I'll have to get with you and look that up, and there's an agreement already in place for that. This is just trimming some ownerships and some maintenance.
Okay.
So I will get that to you.
That, just to be clear, that's not close to any of our needs in Varna.
No.
Okay.
No, it's the redundancy for, it does, there is some water at Freeze Road from that PRV, comes down, goes across the bridge.
Right.
But other than that, it's not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, getting the bridge done so that we can actually repair that pipe though is.
Yes, that's one of the discussions we had. We don't plan on putting a lot of money into the installation of that pipe until some time we replace it because it's very expensive. And there's still active water there, so it's not going to freeze. It's still running. We discussed the pumps at the PRV with FX Fox Bridge. Right now, there are two pumps. They only pump 350 gallons a minute between the two of them. They want to upsize that to 350 gallons per minute per pump. Because the Nice Egg tank, the old tank that was built in 1962 seems to be in pretty good shape. The new tank is 36 feet tall, 44 feet in diameter. It was built in 1991 and needs a lot of work. But before we do that work, we have to upgrade the pumps. Because we have to drain that tank, and that needs to be able to supply everything that the Nice Egg tanks do while the tank is empty. So there's some steps we gotta do there that we're gonna need you guys to deal with shortly. Yellow Barn Road, we're chasing a leak right now. We've been looking for it for about 2 weeks now. Bolt place went up to work with us. They put their coalition machines on them. We've got our headphones and tracers, and I've got to call into a guy that's over at Hastings, New York, and we'll try and get him here by Monday to figure out the leak. So right now we're purchasing water through Waterboy. Today we're putting 12,000 gallons of water. We use roughly everybody up there on a daily basis uses about 6,000 gallons for the day. We're pumping 12,000 gallons, but with the leak, we're not going to keep up.
Jeez.
So
Water running out the front door of anybody's house is out of town.
no, we've sent notices out.
Is this a frozen pipe thing because of the cold? No?
There's no, every house has a meter. We got 79 meters. And it shows no indication of overuse at any one said building. We sent notices out. Probably should have looked at it a little bit closer because it said call. They've all been calling. You don't want to hear from them, but hopefully this leak detector guy will be down Monday. I believe I've got enough water to get through the weekend. And I think that's about all I have.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
I'd like the resolution to buy a 3-minute timer. We're going to say 3 minutes. We need to start pursuing that, okay?
Well, yeah, a lot of people that's passed, so I was like, you know what?
You are?
We've had way more people want to comment in the past, so that sticking to that strictly is more important than.
And it's been lonely here.
We're saying, you know, Mark and you guys.
We got some fresh faces in here. We don't hear from them.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually just see Mike and Mason, Mark and, you know, and Chris.
Not that we don't want to hear from you too. But no, usually you don't. 3 to 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Your next way, when you have your day report.
Jim posted that on the web. The monthly report is mostly agenda items, so we'll be talking about them all as we go through the rest of the agenda.
Yeah, I'll just.
I guess one thing I could comment on is that we had another 7 dwelling units added this month, so we're having a little end of the year uptick. I think there were 54 last month. So we're just having a little bit of a higher rate of build out there. That's great.
Yeah. And then what about, I mean, I know there's always these questions going on about the Deer Haven thing.
Yeah,
So this,
and
where I saw that David replied to Ms. Brenna, so.
yeah, and he was intending to try and get out there in early January, just not
Yeah,
rising to the top of the list with all the buildings already going on.
and because the variance, he never followed through on it,
No,
correct?
he did not show at the hearing, so that means he did not get a variance, so you have to take an action on that.
Okay. All right, and next up, we have David Makar. There you go. Yeah, members of the jury.
Good evening. I have a few things. I have the monthly report for the month of November, as well as a few resolutions. It was a huge month for us, November. We hit 499 paying customers, adding 11 more in November. As of today, we are about 510 customers. So we are now over 500 paying customers on the platform. But a year ago, we were at about 200. And about 2 years ago, we were about 20. So pretty good growth in the last 2 years. The monthly revenue for November brought us up to $27,000, $630 increase from those 11 new customers. We did not add any new parcels, but in the month of November, we had awarded work to Syracuse Utilities to continue construction north and northeast of the village of Freeville. That work is continuing. That's 900 new parcels. We believe that'll be done by the end of March. In addition, in November, the Empire State Development Board had approved our increase to our project and offered us a grant disbursement agreement that was signed and co-signed about a week ago. So we now have that in hand. We'll be submitting our first reimbursement request, which will be about $2 million. This is work that's already been completed. We've already been billed for it. We've already paid, and now we'll be getting the first round of 4 payments back from the state. Now, finally, the network audit is now complete. We're assessing what we've learned from that helps us to plan out the future growth of the network. We've put together a job description for our account manager to help out with outreach, and that job has been posted. We're looking to hire that person in the first quarter of 2026. And finally, the Caroline Hut, which is their central office where they have their switches and their devices to move the data around through the Caroline Park network, is underway. We broke ground at the end of October, and the hut was placed yesterday. So if you drive to the Caroline Town Hall, you'll see the extension of Dryden Fiber into the town of Caroline. Any questions on the executive summary before I continue?
The job that you mentioned that's currently posted, that's on the county website?
Yes.
Is that correct?
It's here.
Sorry.
It is. I'm looking here.
No, it's posted right now.
That's right.
So that's a civil service job.
Yes.
Awesome.
The scoreboard on the next slide does not change very much except for countdown. We're down to 13 months left to go. We can keep going on this. Go to the next slide. 391 days to go as of December 5th. Now we're down to 378. We are working our tails off to get everything done, lined up. There are really 3 main projects we're implementing all at the same time. We have the Freeville expansion zone, which is underway right now. There is a greater Dryden zone that's basically everything that's not in our green zone live or Freeville. So that is West Dryden, Etna, Varna, Ellis Hollow, part of Linwood, Yellow Barn, Route 38, Dryden Lake, east of here, Virgil Road, as well as Route 13, which we're calling the Route 13 Island. It's within the network ring. Everyone there already has high-speed internet, but we do want to reach those houses too. Our plan within this greater Dryden part of the project is to reach 100% of the houses in the town of Dryden in 2026. The third part of the project is the Caroline build-out, which also needs to be completed by the end of next year, because that is fully funded by the state as long as we complete construction by the end of next year. So we will likely in the month of March have all three of these contracts awarded into construction, and all three of them will be underway. We will be close to wrapping up. Greater Dryden will be starting, and Caroline will be in planning, but all three of the contracts will be awarded. Those are contracted with contract days between 60 and 150 business days, which we believe gives us enough time to get them done in 2026, with certain penalties built into the contracts for the construction partners to finish on time. This is a completely different way to build than we had been building the first 3 years of the project, where everything is following standards, timelines, contracts, where the contractors know, like, this is what is assigned you to work on, this is the amount of time you have to do the work. They bid on it based on knowing the timeline, deadlines, the materials, the miles, the work that has to get done. And then we review those bids and award the bids. So this is a partnership that has not been put together in the past with this project with our construction partners. It's a lot to do. They will probably be working every single day of the year next year. You'll already see there's a lot of work happening throughout Dryden and a little bit in Caroline with electrical make ready. These are the trucks that are doing work to make utility poles accessible to us. There's tree clearing being done on poles all over Dryden, and as I said, in Caroline too. Now there's also work being done on the utility poles to make room for us to attach.
Dave, what are the major risks that are there regarding the timeline?
So the biggest risk right now is within electrical make ready. For us to attach our fibers with telephone pole, utility pole, the lines that are already there tend to have to be moved up. So there's room for us. In the case where there are shorter poles that replace the entire pole, and if you drive around town, you've seen hundreds of replacement poles, which is great because some of these poles have been out there for 40, 50, 60 years. And now they're much taller, they're ready for our equipment to be attached to them. We partner directly with NYSEG on these pole replacements where we co-pay for the cost of replacement. We're not paying the entire thing. In many cases, they're saying, well, we should have replaced that. Well, we were going to replace it, but now we have a reason to have it replaced. And we're going to be making it ready for you to have room on the pole. So we'll spend the money on this together. The challenge that we have today is that people, as you heard earlier, love to use electricity. So much that NYSEG has determined that all the 10K transformers that are out there should be replaced by 25K. 25K are 2.5 times more electricity in these transformers. If they send a truck out to do that work, they have to pay for it. If we send a truck out there to do other work on the pole to make it ready for us, and while we're there, we can replace that 10K with a 25K transformer. They're happy, it gets done. We're happy to help out while we're already there doing our job. It works out. The biggest challenge right now is the project has somewhere between 200 and 300 of these 25K transformers. And we're only getting about 10 of those per week from NYSEG to get these poles ready. At that rate, we'll run out of time.
Okay.
We're working closely with NYSEG almost daily to get more of these devices, get them in the hands of our electricians who are doing the work. But if they do not have those devices to us, we have to go one of two ways. Either find more somewhere else to make this happen, or negotiate with NYSEG to reduce the requirements from the 25K to remaining with the 10K.
Okay.
In overall community efficiency, if we're up on this pole where it costs $2,000 to $10,000 a day to have a bucket truck, we may as well do it where we can do it all together in one trip. So I'm sending another truck in there later to do it again. Other risk would probably be weather and inventory. If we have a long, cold, icy, windy winter, that could cause some delays. Even with that, if we don't start work until April 1st, there's still enough business days to get it done by the end of the year. And finally, inventory. If there's a high demand for construction projects that need fiber, conduit, or strand, or other equipment, that could put some pressure on us to have the equipment we need. One of the ways we're trying to work on that is tonight's resolution to Graybar to make a purchase of all the equipment we need for the project from now to the end of next year.
Thank you.
A couple more slides. Goals for 2025. We've talked about this every month to keep us aligned. We thought we were going to do close to 1,000, a little over 1,000 this year. And as you heard, we're just over 500 right now. Primarily, that's because we just did not have the construction that we thought we were going to have this year because we did a complete redesign of the network. That redesign has found that there are just gaps in the original plan. There are houses that are in our green zone where our previous design did not put enough ports available to reach every unit in some of those houses. It's because perhaps on a map it looks like one house, but in reality it's a duplex or a quad that needs 4 connections. So the network wasn't designed properly. In addition, there are places where in the Freeville expansion phase of construction, we will be doing overlash on our existing network. So we've already put strand and fiber on poles from our previous engineering firm's design. And we realized that there was just not enough fiber to reach all the houses in town. We have to go back to revisit some of those same poles and put more fiber on the strand. Or in one case in the village of Freeville, where it's also underground, we're going to bring more fiber to our underground conduits through Freeville. It's better to do it now than have someone call us up and say, hey, I want service, and then have our installation company say, there's not enough fiber. So that slowed us down, but next year, we're looking much better in this new way we've designed, not just the network, but how we're going to business to build it. Well, finally, I want to talk about where we are with projections for next year. The next slide has our pre-registration, which cut off a little bit on the right. In the Freeville expansion zone alone, with our 900 parcels, 81 people have already signed up that are ready to go. As soon as we turn those parcels green, we'll be ready to do installs. On top of that, throughout the rest of the town of Dryden, there are over 475 people who signed up as of December 5th. More have signed up since then, who are ready to go. As soon as we build it, they are ready to have service installed. We split them up across the different neighborhoods around town so we can look at and track as we are doing construction. We're going to do it in these phases by these neighborhoods and then roll it off and get people online. In addition to this, there's substantial demand in Caroline. Over 150 people have signed up in the town of Caroline as our extension with Caroline. There's great demand right now. I think that's enough of the rest of this is in the deck that I shared with you. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer anything else.
No, I think we're good.
So to go resolutions, we can do it now, or we can do it.
No, I can do them. I can do them now.
I think the resolutions are now written in a way where it should not require a lot of additional detail about what's going on in the resolution. The old resolutions were like, we want to reward X company for this much money for driving fiber. These resolutions are built out a bit more to explain some of the background behind these requests. But I'm happy to answer any questions about either the driving fiber to the premises, electronics, plans, equipment resolution, or the renegotiated agreement with Plume, our Wi-Fi cloud services provider.
And the calyx pieces, those are in the those were those like this inside the pops.
Yes, so within each home that's connected to our network, there is an optical device. It's basically a modem, but instead of using a modem, which is a term for either dial-up or cable,
Yeah.
it's an ONU. That device will then talk through our network to a device in our POP. Those have to be the same manufacturer. The manufacturer we have been partnered with for the last 3 years is moving away from fiber to the home and fiber to the premises. They are focused more on AI data centers, if you can believe it. They see where the technology business is going, and they're moving there. I believe 4 years ago, they saw that this is where they thought technology was going, so they moved into this space. They are not entrenched in the space. If you look around the marketplace, the provider that we're currently partnered with, Ciena, is not very widely adopted. We might be one of 3 ISPs that are using them for that work. So by putting out to bid and offering it out, that gives us a chance to find other providers who are more producing a product that's more aligned with what we're trying to do.
And so I'll move the first resolution to award the contract. For Dryden Fiber FTTP, electronic plans and equipment, what is it, Calyx? Or not to exceed 416, 47, 42.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And then the second one is for the cloud services.
Yes, this is the cloud services for our Wi-Fi service we offer to customers. About 80% of our customers take one of the free Wi-Fi devices. This provides the cloud services. We had a contract with them that was, again, very optimistic and aggressively put together about 4 years ago, thinking that we'd be completely built out by a year ago today, and that we have 4,000 to 5,000 customers by now. As we know, the project did not grow at that speed. However, the contract was built to charge us as if we had grown to that speed. The town attorney and I met with Plume a couple of times, and they offered a very positive renegotiation of the agreement that we can have take effect on January 1st. They'll save us about $60,000 over the next 3 years, and bring us more in line with the cost of about $1.25 per customer per month for these cloud services.
Good job.
Yeah.
Negotiating.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive.
So I'll move those. Sake of.
Leo.
We had it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. The final one is it's either 12B or 11B. The numbering on the website has changed from the agenda. I think it's 11B,
the
11A? 11A. Is it 11A? No,
What's it
11B. It is 11B. 11B, the first 11B, not the other 11Bs. Which is the resolution to approve purchase of materials. As Councilperson Buck asked about things that could hold us up is not having this. One thing that has happened in the last year that has helped this project because it's funded by federal funds from 2020, 2021, is that this money is in the Treasury Department and is on hold for us to receive back through reimbursements. The newer funds from 2023 and 2024 for BEAD funding is in the Commerce Department, and those projects, by and large, are on hold. 12 months ago, we believed that the BEAD funded projects would cause a tidal wave of demand for equipment. However, most of those projects are on hold right now, making this equipment a lot more accessible to us today. That could change anytime. So the sooner we get these orders in, the better it is for us to get everything finished on time. This is for materials for Frueville non-MIP funded, Frueville MIP funded areas, as well as Dryden, which is the Greater Dryden project, as I mentioned, both MIP and non-MIP, as well as all the Carolina equipment needs.
Okay, I'll move this.
Second,
Yes.
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 Thank you. And thank you for passing the resolutions last week regarding the tax insert letter. It was our #1 marketing tool last year. And for the resolution to partner with USIC, which the Ricketts study will be able to move the DigSafe monitoring we've been doing in partnership with both sewer utilities and the Rick's team at TPW to get that out of their hands, ideally by January 5th. So thank you for moving that forward last week.
Yep. Cool. Thank you. So then, unless anyone's got any more questions for Dave, then next up will be Mason.
Good evening, I'm Mason Jager, the Chief of the Varna Volunteer Fire Company. Thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight. I was asked by our board of directors to come this evening to ask about updates on the fire district plan. Our board chair wanted to be here, but he was putting out a literal fire out on Mount Pleasant, out in the woods. So I am here instead. So my basic question is, what is the current plan for the fire district? And we've had conversations over the last year with discussions about different options, including study, mediation, different timelines. But as of just a couple of weeks ago, I had heard that even early 2026 was an option for consolidation, which is very different from earlier conversations. So I wanted to hear from the town board, not just one individual, what the current plan is, because as you can imagine, with an independent nonprofit organization with over 80 members and a very important mission, consolidation would be very disruptive and takes a lot of planning and forethought. And so we want to be very on the same page with town board.
Well, I'll take a stab.
Yeah, you can take it.
Yeah, so as we discussed at our budget meeting, where we heard from all the chiefs that you thought this was a good idea to go forward and to retain an expert, probably an attorney, to come in and advise on next steps. We still want to do that. We haven't settled on the attorney, our expert, to come in, but we want to address that in January and February. So we want to have a situation where questions can get answered before we move forward. And based on what we learn and our own capacity to manage the process, we may manage the process here in-house, or we may consult for the transition. There are some big questions to answer with regards to the structure of the fire district and the role of commissioners and where they will work. And also what to do with the apparatus and real estate that you have, the buildings. And how to have that management acceptable to everybody. The way I've heard of it being done is that the nonprofit fire companies would retain ownership of their buildings and maybe their equipment if that's in their interest, but lease that to the fire district, hopefully for not an exorbitant amount, and perhaps maintain their buildings with that lease payment that would come from the fire district. The big difference will be that you will no longer be contracting with the town, so your revenue is going to be different. But the fire district would have taxing authority to raise revenue and then provide lease payments for the use of the buildings that you will retain ownership of. Those are some of the big questions we need to get communicated. But the timeline and the role of the individual chiefs and your boards. I mean, we have to work with the chair people of your boards and integrate their input into this process. I think we've had really great collaboration with the chiefs so far, but I'm hearing that we've got to make sure we get the chair of the boards tied into this process as soon as possible. So I think what we're envisioning is a summit in January. And some suggestions on who to bring in as a special advisor in this process, and then a decision whether we want to hire a consultant to manage the process or whether we can manage it here in-house with our current town representation, the legal representation. Our current attorney is taking on a partner. Mike Parahenik has expressed interest. He's a part of the law firm that represents the town and managing the process legally for us and just hitting the deadlines. And we've all done some research on the available guidebooks that are out there for doing this process. It's not super complicated, but we have to answer questions like I just went over about ownership of buildings and fire halls, the nonprofit, the companies retaining some of their identity. I think that's important, and the history behind them.
It's really about starting the process and starting the discussions in early 2026, not changing anything on process as well.
Yeah, that's a little different. So when I had a conversation with Dan a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned we were talking about other topics that involved a potential fire district, and I mentioned, well, with the goal of within the next year or so, 2027, which I think is what we had previously discussed as possible, guideline. Dan mentioned, no, it could be much sooner. It could be first quarter 2026, which, again, is it makes it a little alarming for some of our board members and our members that's a very quick transition.
We could create the fire district, but it wouldn't become effective. It wouldn't have any money. It wouldn't have any capacity to do anything until January 2027.
Right, but I still think that there needs to be more discussion because, you mentioned it as a given that there would necessarily be a consolidation, but there is another option, a parallel option, where we would be able to become our own independent fire district if we had the residents of our area choosing that. So it's not a foregone conclusion that we have to do consolidation or that that's the best model. We are an independent department. We have a strong tax base. We have an ISO Class 2 rating, which is the highest in the county. There are some potential downsides to consolidation. And so I feel like those need to be had, that conversation needs to be had first before assuming that consolidation is the only answer. So that's kind of what we were thinking, and just thinking, it's difficult to fulfill our strategic plan. What are we going to be purchasing? What are we going to be doing if in 6 months it doesn't matter? And so that's why we wanted to have clarification on the plan going forward. I think having the mediation and those discussions about options makes sense. And so we look forward to that's what we talked about, as you mentioned, in October. So
the goal would be to bring in some facilitators who've been through this process a few times that can give best practice recommendations to all of us. But the basic structure and timeline is still in line with what we discussed during our budget meetings with all of you. And we want to move forward with the process. When it becomes effective is a different question as opposed to the steps we take to put it in process. Does anything else to add?
I was very surprised by the Aetna merger with Neptune. Where did that come from?
Okay, that's a different topic. So before, we can switch to that topic.
That was the genesis of the conversation where we were talking about fire districts, because part of the language of that agreement was, reserving finances, equipment, et cetera, property for potential fire districts. So that's where the fire district conversation came back in again. Yeah.
So if you want to pivot to that topic, and it's of interest.
Okay, sure. And I asked the other chiefs to come tonight, just so I wanted to have maximum transparency and make sure that we were all on the same page, that they heard everything that I'm saying and that if they wanted to add anything themselves. That's why I asked them to be here, just so you know.
Yeah, did you guys want to add anything?
I just address.
Yeah, I'm glad you came.
It's kind of gonna go together. This ultimately affects all of us.
They were like hearing from me.
Oh, come on. Look, it's the meeting, but if nothing else, it's our Festivus meeting. And that's right, December. I just didn't bring a Festivus poll for us for the end of it.
I don't think it's
I think it's just we could just vote around it.
Yeah.
So the state attorney general office got in touch with the fire department. And that's the genesis of that effort, advising them that they can either merge or dissolve, go follow one process or the other. They have chose the former, and they initiated that process by reaching out to Neptune. Town had nothing to do with that.
So one process for the other?
Yeah.
Well, they're dissolving pretty good because they sold their side by side already.
Yeah, I think that's a different, I was surprised by that, but I think they're allowed to do that. Obviously, they did. I hope it, well, you know, I can't say what they'll do next with any of the rest of their equipment. My presumption is that they're not to do any more of that liquidation. And that the process of merging.
Not my issue.
Yeah, it's not.
I am WB Strong Freeville Fire Company and not anyone else.
Yeah, but we can't control that initiation of a process by Aetna. They initiated it at the Attorney General's request. If they did not, if they did nothing, they would go through a dissolution process that the town would be more involved in, but that's a much more elaborate and lengthy process to go through. So we're, the merger plan has to be agreed upon by Aetna and Neptune, and then the town board has to approve. We have a dog in the fight. So we've had some discussions with the Aetna attorney and with Neptune on a process that would maintain the facility for the taxpayers' best interest. I mean, I think our number one priority is taxpayers provided 95% of these resources, and we want to make sure they stay in service to the taxpayers. That's our main goal. But as opposed to the back and forth between the two departments, that's not something that's really settled at this point.
That's why I feel it's very important that we get an attorney who actually knows the fire laws, because there's a lot of questions and I just don't know if our attorney can handle those questions.
I agree. I think it should be handled by a fire attorney, somebody that knows the process.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have anything in it other than on that.
So that's what we'll
Well,
decide in our January. I don't call it retreat, but we had a better word for it a minute ago.
Aetna's attorney is a fire attorney.
Yeah.
I believe the word was summit.
Summit, thank you.
Yes, it was.
Kumbaya.
So Aetna's attorney is the one
Summit
who makes the copy of the merger plan and circulates it to us.
He made a copy of that. That was his document.
Yeah. What do you think it was?
I don't know. It wasn't very well written, so I didn't think it was him.
So if I can speak to that, as of this moment, we have not been given anything from Aetna. They just asked if we would entertain the thought. And this is just kind of blowing into a lot bigger thing. But as of right now, we've had some conversations with them. They have not brought anything forward to us in a formal proposal for us to even look at, to entertain, to move on. So there has been some documents that have come from somebody, you know, Dan forwarded them to us. You talk to certain players in the thing and they're confused because it's not their wishes, and so they don't know why things were presented. So that's a whole nother mess I don't want to get into either, because that's not my fight. But until somebody brings us something to look at and to digest, and it really has to come from Aetna because it's their dissolution that has to happen. So they either have to merge with another department, which is the easiest, cleanest way for them to dissolve. Or they can just come up with their own plan, which would take longer because there's more state agencies involved that has to touch it. Where if they just merge with somebody, then they can just dissolve from there. But what that would look like, we have not been given anything whatsoever. I did, speak to Mike and Mason both that, just to let them know that, hey, they came to us, we had, informal meeting that we made it very clear to them up front. This was just an information. We're just here to listen as good neighbors. We are not going to take action. We are not going to, commit to anything. We just would like to hear, what's your vision?
It would have been nice to have Kevin here too from Dryden Ambulance since he was involved.
So he was only brought into the mix based off the first draft that was sent to us.
Yeah, because it didn't sound like he was in favor of taking the Etna fire station.
No, there's no desire to. It doesn't make sense to relocate the Dryden Ambulance stuff to that location because it's not central to the call volume. So for that, and he just said it's just not a practical place to restart. So no, he was not on favor. He's not 100% closing the door of doing something over there, but to move the whole operation there, it just didn't make sense for him. One vision that we've kicked around is making it a regional training center for the town of Dryden fire departments collectively. That is kind of the vision that we have if we were to get involved with it and the direction we'd want to go. We had a conversation with Dan and Jason about that. We're very open that would be our vision for it. But again, it's the ball's in their court to bring to us.
Yeah, I think the idea about Dryden Ambulance was floated earlier. This communicated, was discussed, and doesn't look like it's a good fit, and that's fine. The next best use of that facility is what we need to discuss. And I think we've got to bring in, again, the chair of your board of the Neptune Hose Company and the various attorneys. I had a good talk with Bill Ackroyd today, and I think there's going to be some new ideas in the next week or so. I mean, there's a holiday coming up, but I think there are some other ideas floating about what could happen and circle back to Etna and Etna's attorney.
So, but yeah, so we're just kind of taking a little bit of a back seat until we're presented with something from Etna. And then we can kind of decide where we're going to go from there. But our interest is we're not looking to gain any of their funds for the benefit of Neptune Hose Company. So there's really nothing we're in need of. So it would be, facilitating the help of their dissolution and dissolving as the Attorney General is requiring them to do.
Yeah, because the email that I saw was we were supposed to take a vote on it last week, so I'm glad that didn't happen.
But there was an aggressive time frame that it was going to get done this month, but we didn't even have our board meeting yet to even discuss it with our board prior to the first draft that was sent out to us. So, again, we haven't had anything from the department that has to dissolve, so we got to kind of start with them. So, but I feel, we've been very close knit over the last 3 years. We've been very transparent with each other, and I don't expect anything different moving forward. I think whatever we do has to be in the best interest of all three departments.
I want things to understand too, when it said the town in the email, it wasn't the entire town because I knew nothing about it.
So.
Are you talking about an email that I drafted?
Yeah, a little transparency would be good because I live in Etna, so my neighbors come and ask me, hey, I heard blah, blah, blah. It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's amazing how much I hear it on a daily basis that we're taking them over. It's like, we've had a conversation, but there's nothing formal about it. They're just conversations right now of what is a good use for the building? What's the best way to do it? If a district is formed, would district offices in that building be suitable because it'd be neutral territory? So, like I said, there's 1,000 ideas all floating around. But until we get an idea of what their vision is, I know one thing they really would like to do is keep it to where the community can still use the building because they don't have a community center in Etna.
Oh, I do. Little tiny one.
They want a little bit bigger. Yeah. So that was very important to them, is to still be able to keep, you know, some availability to the community to use the facility too. So. But yeah, it's, like I said, there's not an hour of my day that doesn't go by that it comes up in some type of conversation, and the answer is the same as we have been not presented with anything from Aetna to act on.
Yeah, I'll be at work and people come up to me and ask me, it's like, I don't know.
Walk in my shoes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, but that's where we stand. So, I mean, I will answer any questions to the best of my ability, but you know, short of the conversations we've been trying to have with everybody is the what ifs. We don't know until we get, you know, a formal thing from somebody.
Yeah, and it's not easy coming up with a transition plan. And, you know, I mean, ideas have to be exchanged, and I think, you know, we could use a little less criticism and more support for the process. Because, I mean, no one's trying to do anything nefarious here. We're just trying to find a way to make this change happen.
Mhm.
And I think that's where my concern was coming from. Just if it's difficult to fuse two departments, now you've got to imagine fusing essentially four, because assuming that the assets and everything are still in there, it makes it 10 times more difficult, not just 4.
So
Two.
how do we go about scheduling the summit or kumbaya so that we can start moving into the planning phase and start bonding more on moving forward? Do we need to get a facilitator on board, or do we just need to schedule?
Yeah, that's
time?
I think we need the facilitator, and then they gotta be able to fit it into their schedule. So I would just ask for fairness for us, that it's not done during the daytime. That it's in an evening when we would be most likely available, because we don't make any money doing this. So for us to have to take a day off of our working job isn't fair to us. I would also ask that we have at least 30 days notice of when this is going to be, so we can potentially rearrange our schedule if there's a conflict. But I do know the month of February, I believe, is pretty busy for all of us, because that's when we do our OSHA trainings and, you know, some of the other stuff. I know every weekend for me in February is booked solid. You know, Valentine's Day, I think this year's on a Saturday to boot. Our banquet's the next weekend, so we just have, you know, a lot of, not saying there's not days that we couldn't do it, but the schedules fill up fast.
If we did it in an evening, like would after 4 be okay, or after 5 be okay?
I think it would have to be closer to 6 by the time we get out of work. And
You don't work at night?
oh, I do.
New job.
Yeah, I think
I have to get a job first. I would dare say probably to plan on at least 2 or 3 hours of a back and forth conversation.
Well, would you still be involved, or would it be Pete?
Potentially both. Just, you know, I know Bill's thing is for me to be involved because I understand it a lot better than some of the others. But ultimately that will be up to the board, who decides who they want to appoint to be the liaison and stuff, but.
Yeah, we really need the board involvement in this process.
Well, ultimately, they're the people that bless,
Mhm.
you know how it goes. Operational, we have to figure out how to deal with it, at least in our department. But it's the board that makes and signs the agreements and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we'll need board representation at this initial meeting and throughout the process.
So we're gonna say, again, all players need to be at the same table, hearing the same thing at the same time. I think that's the only fair way moving forward.
Yes, I think the merger process has to be figured out before we jump into the fire district process, since
So
I'm not sure we can do them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Answer one set of questions.
I think, you know, they could, the question and answer could still happen, you know, in the meeting with whatever, so we understand. I mean, one question I keep being asked is, why is the district even on the table? Are the residents going to have any better fire protection or save money as a result of formation of a district? I don't have the answer to that because I don't know. But when people ask, well, you know, that's basically what's in it for us. Why does the town think this is the best thing for fire service in the town of Dryden?
And it could go either way. It depends on how.
No, 100%, but I can't answer those questions because we really don't know the answers.
Yeah, that's why it's important we have a good process. So
But it's out there and, you know, the more it keeps getting talked about and the more it's out there, the more questions I'm sure all of us field on a regular basis of, you know, it's the big unknown, you know, and it's scary to a lot of people.
And I think, you know, having a plan, you know, so the question and answer, I think, is a good start, but there's only so much we can do in like the 2 to 3 hours, right? That'd be separate from planning. I think that first night would just be to ask those questions, think about the process. Then we can go back to our departments, start thinking about, I mean, like you've already mentioned a couple of things that I think are, you know, good ideas that I didn't think of. So, you know, go back to our home departments, think about these things, and then build in more summits, retreats, whatever, to have these conversations, again, to have an organized transition. Because from the beginning, I said, you know, I think this can work, but it has to be done well. Yeah, I think it has to be thought out. That's, you know, as minimal disruption, because you don't want to disrupt emergency services, right? Like that's not a good thing. So.
And I think we're all willing to go to someplace warm for a summit if you want us to go.
There should be food, I think.
Yeah, food and warm weather.
Southern Georgia on the coast, yeah.
So yeah, that's where I stand on, you know, the Aetna merger, you know, it's talk at this point. There's nothing concrete as far as, you know, a district, like I said, at our budget meeting, until I know more, I can't say I'm for or against it, but I'm willing to hear it out and to be able to ask the questions.
So in preparation for that discussion, I think what you were asking, like the whys, my only ask to you guys would be, in addition to people thinking about the why nots, would be to keep a list of like, if we were merged, what are the things we're doing now that we would be really happy that would be part of a blended team so that we're not stuck always being on the hook for all of this. So that would be my only ask, is the whys are not necessarily all about what the town board would want. It's about what is it going to make it easier for you guys. So that might be a helpful thing to do, is when talking with people, try to capture those things too.
I think some of this was done by the former town fire coordinator, Chris O'Connell. I think there were reports made, right, for the town board, or no? That's part of the town's board strategic plan for the fire departments. Remember, because we asked for that last year, right? That was
For all this during the budget thing, we were talking about that there'd be opportunity for shared administrative support, shared financial support, those kinds of things that would hopefully give you guys the time to focus on fighting fires and less of the fun of administrative stuff.
But see, that's key for us to understand the motivation behind your board to do this. Is it to lighten that burden on us, or is it because you guys, hey, we'd rather concentrate on other efforts and not have to deal with the fire department?
I bet if you ask everybody, they're gonna have different answers, but I.
Which is fine, and I'm open to that, but at least I would know how everybody's feeling. So I would encourage it to be different, because you guys are going to have ideas and thoughts.
I go very like operational, like, oh my God, if you didn't each have to like figure out how to do the reporting, and if, you know, there was more administrative support for a lot of like, just keeping track of the freaking like equipment, you know, dates that have to be, because, you know, I have dealt with trying to manage equipment inventory and stuff like that. So being able to share resources for things like that.
But to the taxpayers, and honestly, you're going to blend 3 departments together and have one financial, you're going to have to pay somebody to be those administrators. So that's an additional cost to the taxpayers on top of, you know, so chances are the fire rate, the district will have to charge.
I would just say, don't jump to that conclusion to a different process. Think about what would the perks be for you? What would you want to see out of it? And then we'll see where the money is.
Like I said,
It's
there's
too
a
early to
lot
have
of
all
questions.
these conversations.
And I think you guys probably have questions too.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
I think it's too early to have this kind of conversations, in my view. Not until we have somebody who will sort of facilitate an honest, transparent conversation about motives, things that need to happen and so forth.
Yeah, no, I agree exactly. I agree. That's why I came tonight to just get some clarification on how the process is planning.
My mind, I'm not putting dates on anything. We haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like first step, find this facilitator, and have our summit, and then move from there.
It's called D8 driving.
It's
Three chiefs right here.
The drive-in.
D8 summit.
Yeah, you gotta have some acronym to make it official. Yeah.
Come on, I just came up.
We're gonna get a theme song too.
I can make a theme song, and it'll take me a few minutes, but I can do it. And Dan, I'll even write a bass part for Dan. Yeah.
How we get from 3 to 8, but.
Five.
No, we got 5 board members. At least.
For coming, because it's better than like letting rumors starting to.
And that's just it. There's so many people out there that are asking questions that come to me or Mark or Mason and they're like, first I've heard of it. I don't know anything about that. When it comes to anything, I'm glad I don't know anything about it.
We're working out the new calendar year.
People get into tizzies and I'm trying to avoid that.
We're having to put out the different kind of fire.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, rumors are terrible things.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when in doubt, just pick up the phone. There's no reason to, repeat things or to suspect things if you can just pick up the phone.
That's why Mason and Mark and I talk all the time.
Yep.
If we have a question, we call each other. Hey, did you hear this? Hey, do you hear this? Nope, then it's not true.
Yep.
And that's why I called every one of you a couple of weeks ago to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah, I appreciated the heads up.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I just do the rest of my life? Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to give you the call reports for the month of November. Sorry, I thought I had them organized. Ultimately, we had 49 calls for the month of November. Average firefighter per call was 7, 3 minutes, 12 seconds out the door. Year to date, we're at 500 calls. That's the first time we've ever. Thank you. Year to date, it's about 155 calls. Unfortunately, our reporting, if you look at this report versus next month, the numbers don't add up. Actually, I have to add the numbers together because the state is going to a different reporting system on NERIS, and we switched over November or December 1st. The two reports don't come together, the numbers don't line up. So December's will look a little bit different. You just have to add the two numbers for the total calls. So other than that, this will be my last official meeting with you guys as the chief.
You're gonna still come to all the meetings, all right?
Oh, not all of them. It's gonna be time consuming as it was tonight. As promised, the Village of Dragon signed contracts. Oh, cool. Thank you. I don't know if we have those tonight, and I will get them back to the people. But they're all there and signed them. Yeah, I can do that. Get that back to the village. And
So Freeville and Varna gonna get their contracts soon?
Christina, we sent them out in the mail today. Freeville and Varna's contracts.
We haven't received them yet.
Yes, I mailed them today.
I'm sorry, you're just broke up. I just couldn't hear
I mailed them out today.
Okay. And just as a follow-up for us, we're at, as of tonight, 538 calls. 5 to 6 years ago, we were at 290. Gonna be over 550 probably before the renovation.
That's a lot. We're good.
I can't hear.
He said 538 there.
Yeah. We're projected to be over 550 calls by the end.
Okay, okay, got it.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing.
For all you do.
And half of those EMS or?
We every year it varies, but we run about 50-50.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah. There's a little sign maybe.
Drive safe. Windy out tonight. Drive safe, it's windy out tonight. Get ready for all the new branches down.
You just need 2 of them.
Yep, just. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your retirement.
Speaking of retirement.
Rick, you retire?
Yeah, Mike.
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 Yes, I am gonna retire pretty soon.
No.
Hopefully this won't be the last time we see you, but next time you can just yell at us.
I don't have a formal report tonight. Glad to answer any questions, but did want to come in. It is, as Jason said, my last appearance at the town board as one of the legislators from the town, and attended a lot of town board meetings over the years. Tried to come every month, not miss some, of course, but it's been my pleasure to represent the people of the 14th district of the town of Dryden, including the 2 villages, and to work with you folks. And I want to add Dave Makar there because he used to be on this board. And David, David could formulate and ask the toughest questions that were the most thoughtful questions. I always remember that about David. And all of you have given your time to the town. You've got really tough issues here. We just saw some of them. And you've got, and yet you folks have been leaders. Whether it was fracking, whether it was natural gas, whether it was the fiber system, which everybody around here keeps looking at Dryden and thinking, how are they doing it? Whether it's these issues that are coming up now with your planning and data centers and things like that, all of that those are tough issues. And of course, you get paid a huge amount of money to handle them. You're supposed to smile.
This is our payment right here.
But you deserve that kind of payment because you are proud in what you do. And that's what I want to say. And I'm still with you around. I may still visit you from time to time, but I pass the crown to somebody else. Down in the county, I've always joked that I'm usually not a joke. I've always said Dryden is the crown jewel of Tompkins County. And there's three diamonds in the rough, and that is the village of Dryden, the village of Freeville, and the town of Dryden, all part of that jewel. Continue to be good and think about all the time, think about what is best for the people of the town, what's best for the taxpayers that have to stand the cost of things. I certainly don't want to not mention Bambi Avery, who's amazing. And she sits here quietly at your meeting. She does a great job. I can see that. She gives her time to state offices and to not-for-profits here in our community. And we're lucky to have someone with that broad experience out there helping us. And Ray, you've been planning for how many years now? 10 years, wow. And we see him at other meetings and everything representing the town. He does a great job too. You have, and you got Rick. Rick's here. He's a highway superintendent, and he's not afraid to say what he believes and tell us about what we should be doing, or even who ought to be the county highway director. He has an opinion on that, and I think that's great. And he succeeded, by the way, on that one. Again, well, just stop now and you go home. But that's I appreciate the time to say hello tonight to say those things to you.
I think we have some openings on some committees if you want to join a committee.
Give them a break through it.
Have a night off.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Thank you.
All right.
Well, before you leave, we want to say some things.
yeah, because you've been huge help with me the last, gosh, I mean, it's 18, 19 years already since I've been sitting here. I mean, it's just, nobody knows more about probably about the county and Dryden than you, so it's all.
Well, Rhodey's run for election more often than you have.
That's not by choice all the time. It's just the way the calendar works. So, I can't change it. The people gotta change it.
Can I tell one little story about Jason? And Jason is one of the first times that Jason came to town and ran for office, and some of us from our party sat around and helped him think about how he's going to wage his campaign and how he's going to talk to people about different things, different issues. And some of us walked around with him door to door. And I remember telling Jason ahead of time, what do you do when someone says, my neighbors and I are having a big dispute, and what are you going to do about it? Had nothing to do with the office he was reaching. Jason didn't say anything, but we were going one door to door, and guess what? Somebody came out and wanted to know what he was going to do about the dispute with a neighbor. And it went really very well, I'll tell you that. But I still remember that. It made me laugh back then.
Yeah, that was 2007.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think I first met you about 10 years earlier, in the late 1990s. I was working for Congressman Hinchcliffe, and I think on the Virgil Creek Dam project and getting that big earmark.
Put that together and got
Came out very
congressman from Maurice got the congressman from Onondaga. Who was that?
Jim Walsh.
Walsh, that's right. To help us get and they helped us get our earmark. So because the funding, it was the first year that there wasn't funding in the national budget for a project to build a dam in our area. And so, because there was no money appropriated, they had to go get us an earmark, and that's how we got the dam. But Dan worked on that a lot.
Well,
I remember that.
I could tell right then and there that you're a person who really had this interest in Dryden.
And so did Jim Scally, by the way, who was also on this board. He was at the county planning, and he did a lot of work on the dam.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, my honor. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Okay. We still got resolutions. Get back to the resolution. All right, so the first one's a budget mod. Let's share it. Yeah. Oops. There. Good night.
Good night.
There's three there. Oh. All right, so this first one. Let's say, let me just, it shows what they are. Moving from supplies to equipment. Dog licenses to enumeration. So. Is that the Equinox, right?
Yeah, the real one.
Yeah.
So the grass and lands and what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, mods to music that Marty had talked about. So there's summer camp. And
That's for the electric truck for the town. That way.
Excellent.
I know you drove that out to Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It was Ricky Bobby fast. And then so that damn engineering again. I have to say that. It's a dad joke. Come on.
Do better.
I can't do better. You can't. Then it's not a dad joke. All right, so I'll move these my budget ones.
Second.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And
See.
all right, so the next thing up is the plant-to-plant agreement and pre-treatment agreements for the Ithaca area wastewater treatment facility. Plant-to-plant means it's when Village of Cuba Heights sends waste to the Ithaca plant, so there's a charge that they need to pay. But all because it's the Ithaca plant's owned by the Dryden City, Town of Ithaca, City of Ithaca. We all have to pass this. So I'll move this resolution to approve that. Second.
Second. Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, that covered both of them. Okay. And next up is the awarding contract for the Route 13 pedestrian bridge. So the DOT let us try to do this.
Last conditional approval.
Yeah. So these were the three bids. Both are for an economy. What's the one highlighted? Why is that one? Is it? Oh no, whoops, that's me. I did. All right. I'm using. They're all highlighted. Anyway, I think it was her. So how did these compare to the last ones?
Yeah, the same range, what Kurt was looking at last time.
Okay.
The others didn't go down enough to.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the recommendations to approve her for this, and then so will this then be completed? You think this next year?
Oh, if we get the TOG approval, yeah, we should get the work contract in January, we go to 1.6.
The protest, I'll let Freeze Road do it first.
Yeah, every time there's a whatever the Ithaca Transportation Council thing, I'm just giving. I always mention that.
It's moving, I guess.
I had two people ask about it today.
People ask me about it all the time and I'm just like, blame this. Oh. Nothing I can do about it. I just hold my, hands in front of my face. So I'll move this resolution to approval of the Herb Development LLC as the, for the, as the winning bid.
Second that.
Yes.
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 I think there should be balloons or something, and we should be celebrating.
I believe Marshall Hurd's on our Zoom with us. Congratulations, Marshall. Appreciate you applying again. If you can hear us.
Thank you. We're excited.
I look forward to working with you.
Likewise. Likewise. It's been a struggle to get here, but hopefully we'll have no more I guess roadblocks. So
Yeah, it wasn't an easy process.
No.
yeah. I was waiting for something else to occur, but I'm glad that we're good. So excited.
All right. So the next thing up is this, an introduction to the proposed local law concerning best value procurement. Right now it's lowest bidder. We want to switch to this best value so that we can have a little bit more flexibility in accepting bids.
That is fantastic, because lowest bid is not always best value by far, so.
So I will put this on for the January 15th meeting, 6:05, and then so it'll get noticed.
Where does this idea come from?
Well, actually, Amanda and Nate. So they were, talking about our procurement policy. So what this will, basically it just gives us more flexibility to look at the qualities of different bids.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds right.
So. All right. And then. So we have a petition to lower the speed limit on Pinckney Road. Yep, so I have that up here. So this would, they provided us
Yeah, there's no signs at all.
yeah. Yeah, where there's no signs in the rural road, it's 55, so. So this needs, and that's a very short stretch.
2 blocks.
Yeah, there's to Lower Creek Road and then there up to.
Then to 13, yeah. So,
Near the stretch of the Suns.
No.
yeah.
No, I drove the whole stretch.
Yep. So, especially between 13 and Lower Creek Road. And that's a trail crossing over there too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So we have, once that bridge is built, you're gonna have the same issues that we were talking about at game farm.
Yeah.
So. Plus there's the trucks that come in. I don't think they're hitting 55, but from the concrete plant.
So do we set this or does the state?
Yeah, so what we do is we'll make the resolution to recommend the speed limit reduction, send this to county highway, and then they send it off to the state.
Okay.
So they have to, and I'm glad this was all put together because it pretty much gives the rationale for it.
Did they put a recommendation? I didn't see it.
They
Was it 35?
He's a new clip. So there'd be 2 different sections, right? Yeah, the rail trail.
Yeah, there's the Yeah, she's done
It's
that.
45 on that side, but. Shoot for 45 on both sides.
I think if you,
That's funny.
right. Yeah, so we should have it this, yeah, cover the entire length from 13 all the way down the road.
Yeah.
Because I think the shorter section is probably 35 or 40 is better than 45.
I think
because it's-
35 would be good.
It's pretty,
Can't really get up to speed to 45 because it's so short.
Well.
Yeah,
some cars,
well, yeah.
like if you have the electrics.
You're speeding around your EV.
No, and when,
On picnic.
yeah, I was,
I like 35
I'd suggest 35 or,
because
yeah.
so that the other two streets, Wood Road is 35 and then Hanshaw is 40.
Yeah.
I think it's more similar to the Wood Road, at
Yeah.
35.
And Wood Road's 35 even up to Etna Road, isn't it? Yeah,
You get 40 in average. Fire station.
yeah. But on Pinckney going, when you cross over Lower Creek, there's a subdivision and it shorts and over there, and then there's a couple of houses on the eastern side. And they're pretty close together too. It's not, they're not spread out.
And it is
So-
kind of curvy, a little bit curvy. It's hard to see now.
Yeah. So, and of course, they won't, they'll choose the speed anyway,
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
No, once the speed limit signs go up, then they call me, hey, you know, they're speeding over here. You know what I mean about it, hell cops.
All right,
So
so,
everything 100 miles an hour, nobody speed.
wait, what? Put it 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, but nobody speed, well, except for you.
No, because. You can't do that. Background. It's not the A8 in Germany, so.
Oh. Harlan is governor of 120 on it anyway, so they can only go so fast.
You haven't been to the Autobahn, have you?
No, but they covers off, they put the right tires on.
You haven't been to the Autobahn, have you? I was driving that and this is like 6 years ago now. In a Mitsubishi SUV, and it was like at 100. I'm talking, miles, and there were people passing
Oh, absolutely.
in Audi station wagons, and it wasn't just passing; it was. And this is, again, it's the Autobahn, but it's, yeah. So we have a second for that. So we're not doing that in Dryden.
A second.
Yes.
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 Yes. I'm storytelling, so.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So then, okay, next up is the discussion about DCO. I mean, the only questions other than the decision, was it a executive session for the yeah,
Last year it wasn't.
well, yeah, well, we didn't, I think we all had. Anyway.
Do we want to do an executive session?
Roland, do you want to, or?
Let's do an executive
Do
session.
you want to do an executive session?
Well, this, anyway,
Oh.
this is public.
I mean, because if it's gonna, well, I mean. I don't know, do you think you need one or no?
I don't think we need one.
Okay.
Do we?
I'm looking at you, man.
You, why me? No, yeah, I don't think we need one. I think
You want to lead the discussion here?
well, the only thing that I can say is that we had a interview with two applicants. And then there was some yes, we went to, at least my colleague here went to look into their
Reference.
references. And we have agreed, to move, one of the applicants to to take the position as dog control officer.
We'll also assess the price difference in the.
Or we assess the price difference, which you can speak to.
So, yeah, there was a price difference between the presentations or the proposals.
So. That's what we did. Do you want to know the name of the person?
They should say the person who came in second. Wouldn't that be a little untoward?
Well, we only had two RFPs.
Is it public information who applied?
Yeah.
Well, will be once they announce it.
Hmm?
It will be once they announce it, people want to announce the
Yeah.
contract, nobody needs to have the other person.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not
We have
public
to-
information who applied, it would be public information who was awarded.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's respectful of the person who did not get the job to announce their name.
Yeah.
Just want to be clear on that.
Right.
So you want to, if we want to move, do we want to move this person, the contract and by the end of, the end of December this month?
What's the difference between the two bids? Maybe you could tell us that now.
$9,600.
Wow.
How much?
$9,600. On an annual basis, not monthly.
For the same scope of services.
They met the requirements of the RFP.
So are we gonna vote on this then if we don't know?
So then we have to move to,
Yeah.
executive session and
Yeah.
decide.
Okay. All right. So we'll move open, I guess we're gonna. We're gonna go into an executive sessions to discuss employment. I guess. Or the contracts of the two proposals, and we'll just be back once we have soon. Can't tell you. Yeah, so it's right now, it's 9:05. Yeah. Okay. I go.
Nightmare.
Good night.
I just gotta pause the recording.
Yeah.
Wasn't there before.
Yeah, okay, so we are back out of executive session. We discussed the DCO bids, and I guess we're ready to vote or no? I mean, how do we, this is what we have to do this, so like we did it last year at a meeting. Yeah, so we're gonna. Or are we gonna?
I will say we vote for you to make the contact with,
The,
rather than taking a vote on, on the, take a vote to authorize you to sign, to what is called, give a contract to the person, to the contractor that.
Can you make a motion?
but don't we have to vote on it out here, or is it?
He's not making a motion out of who.
Yeah, we have to vote on it out here.
Yeah.
So,
Too often, I think.
yeah. Yeah, so you have to, someone's gotta move the offer to make the
All right,
offer for me to sign
so after extensive
Contract.
deliberation, I'm gonna move that we offer a contract to Retta Beardsley for the 2026 calendar year contract.
I'll second that.
Yes,
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so then the next thing is just to go through. Well, you know what, since we have people who've been waiting, I think, I'm gonna jump to citizens privileges just real quick in case anyone who's on Zoom had wanted to do citizens privilege. Because we had a couple people on. And
They might have gone to sleep.
so, because there's somebody here in the so if anyone's got.
I got the last thing. You know, 2 weeks ago, I attended the town gown.
Oh, yeah.
Cornell University Town Gown Awards, and the town of Dryden was recognized with the certificate for being a member of the Community Housing Development Fund, which organization which has advanced housing throughout the county. And we had been incredible partners to that organization. And in fact, we have also developed some of our own housing opportunities here. in the
That's
town of Dryden.
great. Did we talk about any of the projects at that, or I guess they're.
There's a town ground award, they just give you the award and donuts.
You didn't get to give a speech.
No.
And so but you look good in the Cornell Chronicle.
There is a Cornell Chronicle, a small, sort of piece that with the photo and everything. I provided this to Cassie already, so she has it.
So that will go in the town newsletter.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Excellent.
So, wait a minute. We need this. We gotta award the contract for the pedestrian bridge still, didn't we?
They were.
We did that already, yeah. Yeah, those are where,
God, this thing, it is late.
it's been a long meeting, yes. Yeah, I mean, that was the last time like this year, so you gotta get let's do it. We can skip the board updates if you want. I mean, for me, like I missed DRYC, but we have their minutes.
Yeah, so what?
And then Ag Committee didn't meet this month, so.
Make up for it next month.
Yeah, the rail trail, we can talk about the rail trail later. That was the main thing that we went with the low bid and we've got a good bid. Right.
Do we need?
We did do that. Like Dr. Marshall.
Jason, we need to schedule a meeting.
Yeah, we need to so we can do January 2nd if everyone's around. I think Christina, you said you had to check your work schedule.
Yeah, I think I work till 5:30. Yeah.
The other alternative would be the Monday. If you didn't want to do it on the 2nd.
January 2nd, I work till 5:30, but if you guys need to do it sooner, I can try to leave early. Or I can trade with somebody.
Or we could do it Monday.
2nd is a Friday too.
Friday, so you're not gonna want to do it later on a Friday night.
Yeah.
What time would you guys want to do it?
I mean, we could do it January 5th, just it would have to be, that's the Monday.
Yeah, we can.
I have to be in court at 5 out in Candor, so if we could do it in the morning,
I work
That's
5 to
fine.
2:30.
you have what?
I work 5 to 2:30.
I mean, we'd have to get through it quick, because I'd have to leave for Candor by like 4:30.
What about the 6th?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah, so they can't add anything. So you stay away.
Are you guys sure the Friday won't work?
Friday night is.
If I can change my Friday shift to get out at 2:30, would that work?
You mean for the
January
2nd?
2nd?
You mean that would work, yeah.
Do it at 3.
So 3rd, and
All right.
3 o'clock on the 2nd.
I mean, that would be fine, yeah, I guess. Still not ideal, but
The only thing is, I'm not sure whether I will be in town there. Can I zoom in?
Okay.
no.
The 2nd,
There you go.
I'll be here on the 5th for sure.
Oh, well,
Why don't we just do it the 5th?
What about the 6th?
And the 6th,
I can probably get out early on the 5th. What time would work for you?
I just need to be leaving this building by 4:30.
Yeah.
So I can, anything, like if we can literally go through those resolutions within an hour.
Yeah.
then we can still do it at like 3:30. That's fine. I would say 3 o'clock is fine
On the fifth,
on the 5th.
I cannot do the fifth until 4:30 PM.
Okay.
So-
How about the sixth?
That's what I'm trying to say, the sixth.
I work till 2:30.
So 3 o'clock on the sixth.
How about 3:30 on the sixth, Dan?
Right. We do that. Can we do that on the sixth? Will that fit the time frame?
At 3:30.
The 6th is fine. I don't have anything to worry about.
We need a 10-day buffer between that and their next. Glad you brought that up.
I'm just thinking if we have to. Second Thursday. If we have to have time. So we can plan.
Okay, the Thursday prior to the second meeting of the month. The first.
Well, if we do it on the 6th, it sounds like we'll hit.
The eighth, he's saying.
You know, under all local law. Yeah, right.
He said we should have one early and then request a 30-day extension on moratorium in order to do this.
But I think to do that, so local law, it's a local law to extend the moratorium anyway. And if you're doing like a short extension, it's not a big deal. But,
But here by 3:30?
all right, so are we gonna do the org meeting January 6th then?
That-
Like 3 o'clock, what, 3
It's
o'clock?
3:30. I can't do 3. I can do
3:30.
3:30.
One of the problems we discussed, right, was the 239. That somehow we were gonna get that in 10 minutes. And I was told that is an impossibility. Yeah,
That's why I thought we were trying to push for the
you're
second.
gonna be pissed already.
Second. I'll try to be.
So I do it the 2nd then?
Yeah, yes, let's get off with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just make sure we run through like, so
3 PM on the second.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
and we'll have like lightning round.
Okay.
You'll be here to remind us? Nope.
Yeah.
Fine.
He'll give us a checklist of directions.
Who's got that in their job drawer?
Well, I get you.
Okay,
Yeah.
they'll send us an email to do that, so, because some of us might still be hungover on the second. If we're doing things right.
Well, it's at 3 o'clock. I mean,
It's a new year, man.
yeah, I don't even, yeah, I mean, what do you, yeah, I mean, you're carrying, it's not like the Cowboys are gonna win anything on the first.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, well, but just the, well, I already asked about citizens privilege and nobody bid, so, okay. Yeah, we're moving to adjourn. All right.
How do you even remember that?